I've got some loans that I took out, lines of credit, like we
Yeah.
all do when we start up a business. And my goal has always been to pay those off early, but I wasn't able to do that because of the limitations with my revenue at that point in time.
Yeah.
Like I think we averaged 5 a month, and that was inflated by the peaks of January and December when I run my biggest promos of the year. There was one month last year in 2024, I want to say it was April or May, where it was literally like one new patient. There was a ton of frustration. My friends and family could definitely tell I was stressed. It was building and I was becoming irritable. I was becoming short, unbeknownst to myself. I could feel that in myself, but I couldn't necessarily feel how I was portraying it to other people. Like it was very much a roller coaster of more lows than highs. I had hit the point of enough frustration and fatigue where I was like, F it. Let's give it a go and see what happens.
Yeah.
So for reference, in 2024, I had 88 new patients throughout the entire year. So in 2025, so far, we already have 59 new patients. So I already had 2 months this year in Q1 that better than any month I had last year. As of this morning, I paid off one of my loans because I have some extra income in the bank.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, anytime you can sit down and write an extra $5,000 check, it feels real good. All right, everybody, my name is Dr. Jeremy Lawson. I'm located here in McHenry County in the northwestern suburbs, Chicagoland area. I run a family wellness practice. We are a cash-based practice, so we do not direct bill any insurance providers. We see roughly around a 45% pediatric practice. So we are full family from baby to grandma.
Let's go. What was your practice like then? What was the situation like? Walk me through that a little bit.
Well, the practice was the same in the sense that it was a family wellness, pediatric emphasis at times, but we just didn't have the revenue stream that we were looking for. That would be the biggest thing that's changed in the last 12 months. Unlike most offices, I don't have a backdoor problem. My patients generally stick around pretty long term, especially with the wellness model we have. My problem was always attracting new patients because I didn't like putting myself out there in front of people and doing the work that it takes to get people in through the front door.
Yeah. What were the numbers at? Like how many new patients per month were we averaging before?
Oh, less than 5. Like I think we averaged 5 a month, and that was inflated by the peaks of January and December when I run my biggest promos of the year.
Yeah. Okay. So it averaged 5 a month with those.
Yeah. There was one month last year in 2024. I want to say it was April or May where it was literally like one new patient.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay. And what about revenue? Like what was our average revenue in the year? I know that would be dramatically shifted in certain months over others, but
over the course of the 12 months, it was about 14,000.
Okay. In about 14K a month. Gotcha. What was the difference in where you wanted to be? More on like the personal side, more on like what you wanted to do with the business. Like what were you not able to do because of where your new patients, where your revenue is at, that kind of deal?
Well, I want to be able to give my team a raise. I want to give myself a raise. I've got some loans that I took out, lines of credit, like we all do when we start up a business. And my goal has always been to pay those off early, but I wasn't able to do that because of the limitations with my revenue at that point in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But literally, as of this morning, I paid off one of my loans because I have some extra income in the bank.
Let's go. Come on. That's exciting.
Yeah. Anytime you can sit down and write an extra $5,000 check, it feels real good.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay. Man, that's awesome. That's a win. Okay. I didn't even know that coming in. So that's fantastic.
Literally just happened this morning. I was having a conversation with the person I bought the practice that I'm in now off of. And I was just like, hey, listen, how do you feel about it? Instead of paying you for the next 6 months, what if we just pay you off right now? Said yes.
Right. That's awesome. How were you feeling in the seasons before we met? Like, I know you weren't where you wanted to be. But what did that feel like? Because I'm sure there was a disconnect in just the mentality that you had.
Oh, there was a ton of frustration. I mean, no one likes to sit there and put in the work and not see the numbers.
Right.
I'd have a month where I'd get 3 or 4 new patients, and my conversion rates had always been pretty good. It was more so just getting the people in the door to try and convert in the first place. So when I'd have one of those months where I'd have 4 or 5, maybe 6 new patients, it's like, okay, let's go. We get some momentum. And then as their care plans trickled off and they transition to wellness, influx of cash didn't necessarily come back that next month. It's, damn, now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like it was very much a roller coaster of more lows than highs, more valleys than peaks.
Yeah. Okay. But you got really good at keeping patients in that process. How did that impact like your family, your practice, like the people around you? Not so much in how you felt about it, but like how did that impact the people around you?
My friends and family could definitely tell I was stressed. It was building and I was becoming irritable. I was becoming short, unbeknownst to myself. I could feel that in myself, but I couldn't necessarily feel how I was portraying it to other people. So that was one of the things where some friends were like, hey, listen, man, you gotta, let's lock it up a little bit.
Wow. Okay. I want to dive into that in a second here. But before that, like, how did you find us? Like, can you walk through like that? how you found us, and or maybe some things that you tried even before that. Like, what did you try before we started working together to try and get through this?
So I had done, promotional periods before. My December, January is usually my biggest time of the year with my internal promotions that I run.
Hmm.
Late May, early June, kind of the Mother's Day, Father's Day promo, usually get a handful of patients from there. And those had always been okay, but there hadn't always been the greatest follow through the rest of the months,
Mm,
just keeping that momentum. I would do workshops every now and then. We'd have one where we'd
right.
get 5, 6 new patients, but even those we had been seeing diminished results with. So it was
Mm,
just kind of we were putting in the work. At least it felt like we were putting in the work,
yeah.
but we weren't getting the return on that work that we had hoped for.
Yeah.
And then I
Okay.
found you guys because JoJo reached out to me with a random cold call email. And I was like, you know what? I had hit the point of enough frustration and
Yeah.
fatigue where I was like, F it. Let's give it a go and see what
Yeah.
happens. And I'll indulge this cold call, which I would normally be like, dude, bro, go F off. Like, I don't have time for this nonsense. I get 20 of these a day because there's
Right.
so many people trying to solicit chiropractors because we do suck at getting business in. Some of us do.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
trained in that at school, right? We don't train on sales calls, or we don't train
For
on
sure.
the marketing side of things. Like I learned my OPQRST. I learned,
Yeah.
how to diagnose, and I learned how to treat the subluxation pattern. I didn't learn how to promote myself. So I hit that frustration point where I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's give it a shot.
What about our conversation led to you actually saying yes? Like through all the other emails you got, all the other people you may have thought about talking to, what gave you the confidence to be like, yeah, let's move forward?
So when I first got the email, I had reached out to one of the Facebook groups I'm in for chiropractors, and I was just like, hey, listen, who else has worked with this company? And there was the doctor who messaged me back and was like, hey, I've worked with them. I've gotten really good results, and this is what separated them apart from me. And I had talked to
Mm,
other marketing companies before that would get me leads, but then I had to be the one following through. I had to be the one
mm,
reaching out and scheduling. So our initial conversation, you're like, yeah, we sit down and schedule those for you. We spend that time nurturing them to try and make
yeah.
sure that they show up for the new patient exam. We're going to collect that deposit for you, knowing that there was already less work that I had to do when I had been frustrated about putting in that work for bringing new patients in. That for me was a game changer in the sense that, all right, so they're going to generate the leads. They're going to nurture them. They're going to help get a higher caliber of new patient that I might not be able to find
Right.
that is
Right.
showing interest, that is showing a desire to heal and change and
Yeah.
grow. And I just get to show up and confirm that they're going to come. Make sure I get my confirmation calls in, and they just come into my schedule. Like, okay, cool. Like, I like that idea. Let's do that. And then once we got that, that was kind of like my vetting out process when I
Mm,
talked to this other doctor. And then when we had our first conversation, I've been in sales for a while, going back to working as a personal trainer and some other
right.
side
Right.
jobs I'd had. I feel like my BS meter is pretty good. And when I had talked to you and I talked to JoJo and I talked to Mark, it echoed what that other doctor had said, that you guys are
Mm,
just humble, honest, good people. And that was comforting enough for me to say, I will invest what limited resources I have with this group and see, can we multiply this and see what comes out of it?
yeah. No, I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate that and like you even sharing that. That's really kind. No, I love the conversations. Yeah. So it's been a blast. Okay. So you kind of decided like, hey, let's take the shot. Let's walk through like where are we at now? Let's talk numbers first. Walk through the metrics like new patients, revenue. Like, can you walk through the initial months and progression through that?
Yeah, let me pull up my stats here real fast. Probably should have had these up already, but So for reference, in 2024, I had 88 new patients throughout the entire year. So whatever that works out, that's a little over, was that 7 a month? Yeah,
A little
7 would
over
be
7 a month.
84.
Yeah.
All right, so a little over 7 a month. In 2025, so far, we already have 59 new patients just in Q1 alone. So again, we extrapolate that. I've never had 240 new patients in a year. So if that comes to fruition, okay.
Let's go. Okay. How has the revenue reflected that?
All right. So again, Q1 last year, January was a record month for me. January again this year was another record month for me. February and March last year, giant failures in my opinion.
Mm,
Complete drop off in revenue because again, in February I had 6 new patients, and then in
yeah.
March I had 2.
Right.
Um,
What was like
but my
revenue for Q1 of last year?
revenue Q1 last year was 46K.
Okay.
Revenue Q1 this year was 65.
Let's go. Come on.
So where January was a record month. March of this year would have been a record month last year.
Yeah.
So I already had 2 months this year in quarter one that's better than any month I had last year.
That's amazing.
With February, let's see, February would have been the third highest month I had all of last year.
Wow. Okay. And you had like an insane week this past week. I saw the numbers come through and it looked like you had an insane amount of collections, right?
Yeah, well, you got to remember the first of every month is when my auto debits run. So I like having that big pass, padding the stats the first week of the month, because then it lets me know, all right, I've already got a good chunk in. This first week I collected half of what I collected all last month.
Right.
Because we've got those auto debits set up. So now the goal is, all right, what can I do to match what I did in this first week over the next 3 weeks?
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. That's amazing. Okay. So let's branch into how you're feeling about this, like the frustration, how your family saw that, how your friends saw that. Let's walk through that part. What's changed there? What have you been able to do now with the increase in revenue and funds and everything?
It's like the old song goes, more money, more problems. And what I mean by that is now my schedule is more full with new patients and consults. And with that comes more progress exams and more reported findings. So now I'm needing to change my perspective on some things, because before it was like, all right, I had time during my shift to knock out some of these progress reports and work on writing up any scans I needed to. Now I've got to find more admin time to come in outside of my normal shift hours, because I've got more work I've got to do. And that's a good problem to have. That's one of those unintended consequences, right? The busier you get, the more work you got to do. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's been positive. Like, I'm doing this call in the gym right now because I've got to fit my lift in before I go pick my daughter up from school, to then go home, spend some quality time with her, get her down for nap, and then start diving into the next month's marketing campaigns, so that we can keep churning out and keep burning through this, so that we keep snowballing the work that we've been doing. 100%. But as far as my friends and family, it seems like they've noticed I've been happier. And they've noticed, like, hey, I went and bought new clothes, which I've never done before. Well, one, because I lost some weight at the start of the year. I'm like, all right, listen, I'm tired of walking around looking like I'm wearing my dad's clothes. But also, two, I can afford it now. Whereas before, it was like, I'm just going to keep wearing the same 5-year-old polo for another 6 months, so I can scrounge up enough money to go buy a new one. But having some extra funds, like, I will go buy some new clothes. I will pay off a loan earlier. I will reinvest. That's another one of the unintended consequences of having more new patients coming in and having more patients consistently coming in. The current location I'm in, we don't have enough space. We don't have enough parking. We don't have enough waiting area space for these patients to congregate. Yesterday was a prime example. I had a patient text the office like, hey, there's nowhere to park, so I'm going to reschedule and I'll come in on Saturday instead, which is a blessing that we have that availability to come in another day. But that's also a problem if my parking lot is too full for no one to park. That's a family of 4 that now their care plan is being altered because we've grown so much, which is, again, good problem to have. So now we're looking at it as saying, we're already looking at new spaces, because this is not the first time that's happened. Now I'm transitioning and moving out, breaking my lease for the place I'm in now to move in to another office later this year. Hopefully mid is our goal. Okay. I'm like, it is Q2 right now.
Next month you're moving.
It's April 4th. I'm like, no, I'm not moving next month. We're not that far ahead yet. We still haven't even, drawn any, made any drawings yet, let alone put up walls.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the unintended consequences. Eventually you do run out of space and you need more staff. And we're at the point now where I probably need to hire another CA, and I probably need to start looking at 6-7 months from now. Like, am I at the point where I need to start interviewing associate doctors, which would be an amazing problem to have.
Yeah, let's go. Okay. What do you feel like? I know you touched on this, but people notice this around, like, notice that you are now happier, even though you're way busier. Like, and I think that's like big thing people forget is like when things are hard, you don't think the busy means that you're going to be happy, but if it's busy with the right stuff and you see the progress, like, it's still exciting, right?
Yeah. Like, well, I don't necessarily like the concept of busy. I like productive. My time before, I thought I was busy, but I wasn't productive because I was doing a lot of stuff during my shifts, but I wasn't maximizing my potential the way I think. Right. I wasn't spending as much time bringing in new patients, even though I was trying to do it. I was just kind of spinning my wheels. I was like a hamster on a wheel, just going nowhere. But I was getting my cardio reps in for sure. So instead, now I'm generating that time where, we'll have our calls, our weekly calls with, you and the team to see what worked well this week, what didn't work well this week, where can we touch up on some of our patient interaction conversations to just constantly be conveying what, is going to help them, what's going to grow them, what's going to help my communication with them so that they constantly feel like I'm invested in their health as just as much as they are. And then having the conversations that I wasn't having before about generating more referrals and putting in that time, even though, yes, it is more time out of my day, but my productivity has skyrocketed. And it's one of those things that, the more demands on your time, the more efficient you become with that. Like, I also added in, like, I wanted to get back into doing some specific weightlifting training that I've been missing for years now. And I was like, if not now, then when? I'm going to keep saying I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. So I've gotten better at budgeting and dialing in my time so that I can hit the personal and professional goals that I want to. On top of just focusing on my professional side, I realized that if I'm not pouring into myself as a person, then that limits the ability I can pour into my patients. Pour from an empty cup.
Yeah. That's awesome. How do you think this has all impacted the people around you? Like, namely, like your family members that are with you all the time, that impacted them?
Oh, they've definitely noticed. Like, even long story short, my mom lives with us 2 nights a week. She moved back to my hometown, but also works by us, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, depending on traffic that day. So she still comes and spends 2 nights a week with us. And she's even made comments like, I come home from work on Monday nights and they're all having dinner. They all being my mom, my wife, my daughter. And she's even made the comments like, you just seem happier. And I'm like, whoops, I have been. Like, don't get me wrong, like this shit just kicked my ass. Like I had 3 new patients. I had a report of findings. I had a progress scan on top of, 40 adjustments scheduled into a 3-hour time slot. And I'm a solo doc. But it's, just cranking through productivity. Like, am I exhausted? But I'm happily exhausted. And that's very different than frustratingly exhausted.
Yeah. You feel emotionally charged, like you feel good, like emotionally, mentally, just physically. It's obviously like exhausting.
I don't feel like I'm sitting there just spinning my wheels anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you tell someone who's watching this right now, who's like thinking about taking the next step, booking a call? Is there anything else you want to share with them?
Scared money doesn't make money. You have to be willing to, for a lot of people, especially chiropractors, we historically come from a scarcity mindset where if another doctor opens up right down the block from us, we immediately get scared. First off, we see about 5% of the population in a good community. There are more than enough patients to go around, and there's more than enough money to go around. And that was the biggest issue that I had for the longest time. I knew I had some limited resources. Without being able to invest that in my business, it unlocked something in myself on top of that, where it's like, all right, so I'm using what little I had to pour into this endeavor. What am I going to do on my end to maximize myself? So I've always been a highly accountable person. One of my favorite books ever is Extreme Ownership. But because I was putting in more of, again, the limited resources I had financially, it encouraged me to maximize some of my other resources that I had of like, all right, where's my mindset? Where's my end? Where's my attitude? What am I doing to build myself up on a daily basis to say, I don't want the reason this investment fails to be because of me. So it kicked a level of accountability, of professionalism, of energy that I was pouring into it that I didn't know was there before, but it's like, I had more skin in the game. Not that I didn't have skin in the game before, because I'd already invested a lot of time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears to grow my business to where it was. But I found another level with it.
This is a new level of dialing in and just commitment.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I've told the people that I've referred so far.
What do you feel like has been some of the things that you didn't expect that we've, whether helped walk you through or walk through with you, or just the things that we've approached in a different way than you expected another company to come in and walk through problems in your practice with you?
Some of the sales training calls have been really good, just going through the frameworks. And those are things I had done in the past that I'd gotten a little bit away from because I wasn't getting the reps. I wasn't getting the new patients to really go through it. And I was getting a lot of referrals, which is great. But because there was such a warm handoff, when someone came in that wasn't a direct referral, there was a disconnect. So being able to reaffirm that ability in myself and just relearn and level my game up to having more engaging conversations differently than what I was doing. Again, you don't know what you don't know. And until you get the reps in, it's hard to do that. You can only train so many times with your partner, with your spouse, whatever it is. You need live reps too. And I was missing the live reps, and that has helped me level my game up significantly.
Let's go. Okay. It's awesome. Is there anything else you want to kind of drop in and share?
We've been doing this for 3 months now. We've got Q1 last year to Q1 this year. I've already seen, about 7,000 a month in collections growth. That's not insignificant. That's just a financial aspect. Again, I had 88 new patients all of last year. I'm at 59 already this year. Roughly 2/3 of my entire yearly patients I've gotten in Q1 alone. And that's showing the collection standpoint. But it's not just what do the numbers represent from a spreadsheet look. Anyone can look at a spreadsheet and get really excited, but it's what that spreadsheet represents. That's me being able to take my daughter on more breakfast dates. That's being able to treat my team with more random treats in the office and more dinners and more appreciation for my team, because the more I pour into them, the more they show their energy in the office and the more excited they are to come in and help treat the patients with me, because it's not just me. I can't do it all by myself. I need a team that's as on fire as I am, and it's helped me reinvest in them too, which is something I've wanted to do for a while, but I didn't have the ability to do because my resources were so limited.
That's so awesome. I appreciate you sharing all this. It's awesome to get a look into your practice, because it's just my perspective too, and opens me up to like, wow, like getting the inside scoop on how things have been progressing is just a really fun thing. Cause that's why we do what we do. But yeah, thank you for sharing all this. I appreciate it. And if you're watching this and you're like, hey, would love to hear more about this, like just schedule a time. There's absolutely nothing wrong with us scheduling a time and finding out that it's not a great fit. But the only way we'll find out if it is if we actually chat and walk through that. But
absolutely. Anything you're watching, if you want to vet this out, like have a conversation with me. Catalyst Family Chiropractic, Crystal Lake, Illinois.